I think it's time we dive a little bit deeper into who exactly can use those products and what are the use cases, what kind of KPIs is that driving for our customers. Matthias, why don't I hand over to you to
I don't know.
Share that?
No,
Why
happy.
not?
No, why not? So, no, absolutely. No, it of course makes a lot of sense to speak about whom we defined or whom we kind of figured out to be our main audience. Now, actually, we've been speaking about financial services and this whole industry. And of course, the stakeholders of that industry, we can see to be the major I would say, audience to our B2B services. So this is banks, this is brokers, this is any kind of fintech, by the way. This could be cryptocurrency companies, but not to forget this shall be and could be also insurances, because in particular, I would say insurances are lacking the day-to-day interaction with their customer base, so maybe a game could solve that. Second is the whole media industry in particular, because in the media industry we are really always discussing how to increase the average revenue per user. So all and everything is absolutely welcomed there. That helps and supports that objective. And in particular, out of the media industry, I would take those medias that are dealing with finance and financial markets, so that I have a high affinity user or reader base actually dealing around the topic.
Who are interested already
Absolutely.
in the topic.
Absolutely, who already understood it. Yeah.
Seeking for more interactive content.
Absolutely. And maybe applying the content they just read or learned from those media, so that you learn and read something about the markets, and then you have a game next to it, and you have an easy application, first application or trial application of your newly gained knowledge in such a game. Third, I would identify the game industry itself, of course, not to forget, because in the game industry we have two stakeholders we would identify. On the one side, you spoke about already, the game developers that are maybe seeking new options, new ideas to even make games more exciting, or even to tap into a field they couldn't tap so far because there was no technical solution ready for that. And of course the game publishers, I would not forget, because game publishers are, out of my understanding, are interested in any kind of genre or kind of game that comes along and maybe is attracting new players and maybe keeping existing players more sticky by more variations and so on and so forth. So I would see them as well. Fourth, I would see all the industry, which I learned actually is massively increasing as well, as the whole educational industry. Or call it ed tech, so to say. And there we have two components, whether it might be really consumer focused on the one side, delivering education to consumers out there, or a B2B approach actually, that you are maybe an ed tech or education provider for your team, for the teams of companies, so to say, in order to upskill, reskill people.
The employees.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And let us not forget, by the way, we could now pull statistics and say that now talking in general, we are up to 3 billion gamers globally. In Germany, I would say we are roughly close to 50% of the population using games.
I think it's more than half now, actually.
Is it?
More than half of the population of Germany are gamers.
In particular female. In particular female. So this is some very, very interesting statistics. Now, speaking about training your team and your staff, actually, you shouldn't forget maybe 50% of your staff are gamers as well.
Exactly. And one thing to add on that, when people think games, they maybe think that it's only for young people or little kids. But the statistics that we were just talking about, that more than half of Germans, for example, are gamers. Guess what is the average age for gamers in Germany?
I know it.
So he doesn't need to guess, he knows it. So you guys are probably guessing, but it's over 37 years old. Yeah, it's actually over 37 years old. So it is not presumptuous to say that perhaps half of your employees or half of your customers are actually gamers.
No, absolutely. And it's particularly important for bankers to understand that, because I think bank decision makers always think that the game industry is the niche. Let me tell you, financial services guys, you are the niche in comparison to the games, right? So, well, those would be the four major groups actually. I would, and anybody else who thinks actually that a financial entertainment game is pretty close to the behavior of the customers you have today already, well, you know,
be our guest.
Be our guest, you know, actually, absolutely. First of all, you know, again, today is our grand opening. So actually, officially, we didn't speak too much about Tradelight solution in the market. Nevertheless, in January, I think it was January actually, when we got approached from our US friends down
at the start of this year,
in Los Angeles, and who I'm very proud of that they are the first customers. It's a fintech, or it's a startup company.
It's a startup.
Is it a fintech? No, maybe not. It's a startup company.
The line is blurring.
Yeah,
between gaming and fintech.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's an LA-based startup who approached us actually with out of our perspective, very crazy idea, and saying, listen, can I use your platform that you're just creating actually to create fantasy league games with having FX trading and FX pairing actually in the center of it, right? So this is what you can use it for. This means you can use our platform to create totally new business models, totally new revenue streams, customer behavior, and bring it into a next dimension, I would really say. I can remember another discussion we had the other day saying, okay, can I create virtual reality games? Like virtual reality stock trading and stuff like that, which I would say makes it in particular interesting once you maybe have staff training or you have a maybe high-end complexity consumer game in that sector. We have a customer that is a media house and is integrating financial entertainment games actually to increase the average revenue per user. As I just said a minute ago, it's on the one side delivering the content to the readers, but in the same time now saying, listen, you can apply that content a fun way, an exciting way, without any risk in those games now. Okay. We are talking to fintech companies, for instance, one that is aiming at teenagers in order to deliver a service in which parents and teenagers can have a mutual look to the spending behavior and educate the teenagers actually that, you know, you need to earn money first before you can spend it and all that stuff. That to the teenager is maybe an unrequested and sad message, but in the same time now use video games to train them or to educate them on some stuff on the financial, on some topics on the financial industry, financial knowledge, entertain them, to keep them engaged.
Maybe games about saving, interest rate, compounding interest, as we talked about earlier.
Or even first investing, getting them acquainted with maybe capital
exactly.
the markets.
That's what they love these days. Actually, we just read some articles that young people, especially teenagers today, are absolutely interested in trading because they feel like trading in the stock market and the movements of crypto feels like a game.
But then it shouldn't be something like a stock trading simulation game which takes you 6 months. This is not what we do anymore, I have to say, sadly, right? Or maybe just in specific segments and niches, yes, you can do this, but in order to reach out to millions of people, you need to be very short, you need to be as casual as possible, as easy as possible, not to lose the attention, and don't have in mind the attention span is decreasing, you know? So that's what it is about. So what is the business purpose of this fintech using FE games? Actually, it's acquiring new customers, driving cost of customer acquisition down, and keeping customer engagement high. That's exactly what it is about. We are speaking to some international banks with exactly the same objective. So the one bank is in Southeast Asia, another bank in the Middle East, creating services that are absolutely dedicated to Gen Z and younger, in order to, again, same objective, customer acquisition, customer education, customer engagement, keep that up or increase that. We're speaking to financial education providers, actually, and in particular, there are some who are already having a huge user base today and maybe want to spice up the existing content there, because I think it's always getting a little bit critical with customer engagement as soon as you become too educative, you know? Mm-hmm. We would never recommend you, by the way, to call a game educational, because if you want to be sure that nobody's playing it, call it educational. But if the content is getting too much classroom-like, you know what I mean? Like too much of yeah, exactly.
With, maybe AI instructor talking to you
yeah.
with a little whiteboard, which is popping text with some cute icons.
Exactly.
Also, that's not what we do, right?
No.
Because remember, our mission is do not gamify.
Exactly. So yes, of course, you should stick there, but spice it up, I would say. Spice it up with nice video games aside, actually, to keep interaction high. We speak to cryptocurrency companies or crypto companies in a wider sense, actually, for customer acquisition. We speak to brokers, actually, because, you know, it's not that all your customers at a broker are hyperactive, I would say, out of my experience at DAB Bank, actually, and I think it didn't change too much. Maybe if you have 20% of really active customers, you're already good. If you have 50% of your customers that trades frequently, you're very good, but there is a certain degree of dormant accounts. I really would say like that. Mm-hmm. Now, in order to wake up those dormant accounts, why not using video games? Because, you know, you can introduce those games to your customer base. You can walk up to them and say, listen, we understand you're inactive for whatever reason now, but why don't you play in the meantime in order to maybe increase your skills or keep your skills high? You know, so that might be another nice use case.